What's up, spell singers? My name is Garion John Wells.
I'm Drew Flitton.
And I'm Cory Janibagian.
And this is Untap
Upkeep.
Drink. Beer up. Welcome back, everybody. We are continuing our Commander Preconstructed Deck series. I think we can all agree here that we have landed on the gold mine of WOTC-approved Preconstructed Commander decks.
The GOAT Squad.
Yeah, we are covering the Commander 2016, which was the first 4-color decks. These decks are very unique, very exciting, and if you get real stoked about it and go look these up, fucking expensive. These decks are intensely better than decks before them, and they're also covered in bangers, just swathed upon it.
Just banged all over.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree that this was the peak in Commander sets.
So far.
Unfortunately, because it's been 3 years
Coming on 4 real quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cory is very, very soon.
Yeah, and we're speeding up the timeline. It's not going to be in the fall this year, so...
Yeah, true. They've
Changing
been
things a
like
little bit.
moving it forward like almost every year.
Yeah.
And then they're like, hey, how about 5 months forward?
Yeah, because they know we want it.
It still seems like a long shot, though, that they're going to beat 2016, and we'll tell you why in just a second, but these decks are crazy. So,
They set the bar very high.
before we get into these decks, because there's a whole lot to talk about, we're actually going to split this episode into 2 episodes. So we're going to have 2 episodes covering C16, but we've got some beers that we should get a little sip upon. But before we do that, we want to encourage you guys to go take the survey that we have been pushing for the last few weeks. It's on SurveyMonkey. The link will be in the description on any of the platforms you're listening on. It's just 10 easy questions. We just want to get a little bit of feedback. We've already started restructuring the podcast.
Yeah, we're kind of messing around with it, especially while the survey is live to figure out what people want.
We've noticed that people like things to be a little bit shorter than where we've going, so we're trying to do that.
Cut out all the rambling.
Good luck on that one.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
very,
We know
very
we're going to
hard.
spend a little less time reviewing the beer, so we're going to try and be a little more concise there. So please, obviously, hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, especially YouTube. We're trying to make that kind of our home base. We are at UED Podcast or Untap Upkeep Drink. Let's dive into these beers, y'all.
All right. First one here is the winter version of the barrel-aged stout from Mother Earth Brewing Co. This is the 4 Seasons. This one is an Imperial Mint Chocolate Milk Stout. So this one is 10.8%.
That actually does sound wild. It sounds like a flavor trip.
It smells incredible.
It smelled really good. Drew was talking about he had a mint beer before and it was kind of whack, but this one smells super good.
This is an Andes mint. That is how I
Literally
will
have a
describe it.
box of them in my freezer right now because we love those in this house.
That is how I'm going to describe it, and that is all I'm going to say on it right now.
Alcoholic Andes. Dope.
So, Cory, I got you a beer that's a non-beer.
This
because,
is a very interesting brew you have.
Yeah, so I was in the liquor store in Utah, and it looked like somebody had put something that didn't belong into the beer section, and I said, oh, I'll grab that. That looks like a funny can. I read it, and I was just like, Cory, we'll drink this.
Yes, I will. So this is
The clarity's out of the roof.
this is a gin and tonic from Simplicity Cocktails, which are actually out of Rigby, Idaho, and they package.
really?
Yeah,
Whoa.
they package for Salt Lake. So it literally is just a citrus and cucumber gin and tonic.
I didn't realize I was shopping local. So this is the only drink I think you will ever see on this podcast poured over ice.
It's so good. It's not as ginny as I like, but that's probably what they had to do to
So they cut down on the Weasley factor?
yeah, just to make it a 6% cocktail in a can.
Yeah, which is a bummer, but
Yeah, I do like very botanical gins, but the tonic is good. It's really refreshing. I think it needs some lime. It says citrus and cucumber. The cucumber is very, very forward heavy.
I look forward to tasting it.
I was going to say, that sounds good.
Yeah, it's very refreshing.
And last, but certainly not least, you might see this on Drew's Brews on Instagram. This is one that I had a while ago, and it was one that I held on to for as long as I could. This one is one that I actually got for Garion for his birthday, and then we didn't actually
drank it.
record it for... We didn't record around Garion's birthday, and so I was like, well, it's already passed. I might as well just drink it. And so,
Well, you didn't miss that.
I missed that. Oh, well.
Do that all the time.
And so I had that sitting there, tried it, and it's funny because like all of my roommates were around, and every single one of them tried it. I'm like, oh man, that's pretty good. And while I was doing the post and like taking pictures and everything, every single one of them came back like, hey, can I try that again?
Can I have that?
Let me see that.
Can I get some more?
It's real good.
So it's the Icicle Brewing Company's Dark Persuasion. It's a German chocolate cake ale.
Jesus.
And it's dark, but it's not perfectly dark. There's a little rim of red around it, so it's slightly transparent. It's very much a German chocolate cake. We got a little coconut, a little chocolate, a little malts. It's very, very sweet. That's delicious.
Yeah.
That's a smashable beer.
All right, Cory, why don't you dive on in? Where do we start?
So the first one of these decks is the Whitelist deck, which was the Yidris deck, and it was kind of a chaosy deck. And then the next one was Bluelist, which is the Saskia deck, and that was more of an aggro strategy. So the next one we have is the Blacklist deck, which was the Kinaios and Tiro of Melitis group hug deck. And then the Redlist deck, which is the Atraxa Proliferate deck.
Shadow.
Spicy. And then the last one we have is the Greenlist Brea Artifact deck. And then we'll get into what all these commanders is and everything is right now. Drew, what does Yidris do?
So Yidris is a big old
wielder
yeah.
of the Maelstrom.
I mean, yeah, so the full title. Yidris,
Yeah.
Maelstrom wielder for blue, black, red, green. So all of these commanders, they are 4 CMC,
Which sounds great.
but
it's 4
they're
color.
very, very pip dense.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are very color heavy.
So, legendary creature, Ogre. I did not know he was an ogre. Dope.
And he's got 4 arms. He's fucking badass.
Yeah, he's crazy. So, 5/4 with trample. Whenever Yidris deals combat damage to a player, as you cast spells from your hand this turn, they gain Cascade. So, if you don't know what Cascade is, when you cast this spell, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card that costs less. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. Put the exile cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. So,
Importantly, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. So Cascade triggers Cascade upon themselves, which is fucking crazy, man.
yeah, floating around, I think, had a meme ages ago. I don't know if it still exists, but it's like, and then they cascaded into a Bloodbraid Elf, which has Cascade. So it's like cascading into a 4-drop that's a very good creature that also has Cascade. So
Yeah, it basically means you play a 4-drop and you get a 3-drop or less for free. So it's the nickname for this deck was Chaos, rightly so, because you can just cascade into who knows what.
yeah, Yidris.
Very powerful, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was going to say pretty strong, but yeah, agreed. All right.
The next one we've got is Saskia the Unyielding, black, red, green, and white for a 3/4 legendary creature, human soldier. She's got a fucking giant axe. She's badass.
But yeah,
Saskia
she
fucks.
will mess you up.
She's got vigilance and haste. As Saskia the Unyielding enters the battlefield, choose a player. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, it deals that much damage to the chosen player.
So I think one of the strongest ways to build Saskia, because she basically does 2 damage. Damage to each people is infect.
I honestly have a Saskia infect build.
One that I was actually workshopping is Saskia balls. So you do like ball lightning and all like the big dudes, and they just double up damage and do crazy stuff to everybody. So the next one we have is the Blacklist deck. It's Kinaios and Tiro of Melitis. It is red, green, white, blue for a 2/8 legendary creature human soldier.
Ass.
Yeah, so it's 2 dudes that are 1/4s and they combine to make a 2/8. It's pretty sick.
Are you sure it's not like a 2/2 and a...
I'm sure.
Okay.
On a 0/6.
Just one big ass.
Yeah, they got big butts. But they read, at the beginning of your end step, draw a card. Each player may put a land card from his or her hand onto the battlefield, then each opponent who didn't draws a card. So it ramps you, and it makes you draw cards, and it helps your opponents out by choosing either or.
You get to draw 2 cards and potentially put a land every single one of your turns.
This is the embodiment of group hug, where you're helping everybody, but you're helping yourself the most. And everyone's like, oh, okay, you're cool. And it's a 2/8, so you're probably going to block almost everything.
Next one we have here is it's such a fucking banger, dude. Like every single time I see this, I'm just like, this card should never have been printed.
No.
It's unfortunate because this is the 4-color combo that I'm most attracted to building.
You're most attracted?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Damn it, Cory.
Attracted to building, but unfortunately, every time you look up the Witch Ma color combination, the only thing you get is like how to build Atraxa Super Friends. And I'm like, fuck, man. It's good, but that's not what I want to do.
So, Atraxa, Praetor's voice, green, white, blue, black.
All the best
Distinctly not red. Which, I mean, we shit on red enough.
Whack.
But
Ooh.
the story-wise on Atraxa, it's pretty cool because the 4 Praetors got together and Urbrask was like, hey, fuck you guys. And I was like, hey, fuck you, guy.
He's the worst Praetor, and he's Urbrask the Hidden because he didn't want to fuck with anybody else. And so he just kind of went away.
Yep. And then they're like, yo, how about we just make this badass, crazy creature, legendary creature, Angel Horror from Phyrexia, 4/4, because naturally, a flying 4/4 angel, it makes sense. Flying, Vigilance,
Keywords.
Death Touch, Lifelink, Keyword Soup.
That's it, right? That's pretty good for
That's
a
it.
4/4. Yeah,
Yeah,
4
I mean,
mana,
solid.
4/4 with all those. Yeah.
At the beginning of your end step, proliferate.
Jesus Christ.
So if you don't know what proliferate is, you choose any number of permanents and or players with counters on them. Then give each another counter of a kind already there.
Yep. So I think
+1/+1 counters, infect,
Super
experience
Friends.
counters, super friends with their loyalty counters. Hey, you know what's dope? Drawing a card every turn. Nice. I like that. I think I'll take that. Hey, you know what's good? Give all of your planeswalkers a free loyalty counter every turn.
yeah, that's right.
All right, so our last commander here is missing the best color,
Wrong.
arguably in this day and age, and yet she's quite strong without it. It's Brea Ethereum Shaper for white, blue, black, and red, missing good old green. It's a 4/4 legendary artifact creature human. When Brea Ethereum Shaper enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 blue Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying.
Solid.
Cool. 2 generic, sacrifice 2 artifacts, choose 1. Brea deals 3 damage to target player. Target creature gets -4 until end of turn, or you gain 5 life.
So, bolt someone, kill something, gain 5 life. I love modular stuff.
Yeah.
I love artifacts.
I think we've talked about this a lot, but especially in Commander where it's a singleton format and you have to make every card count.
How about
Modular
your
cards.
Commander be fucking modular.
Yeah, modular cards have so much more impact than usual, and having a modular commander is just insane. And the fact that she can sacrifice herself, and artifact recursion is just a very strong theme on its own, and these are just good colors. Like, she's just built to combo, and she's a very, very powerful card.
Now, another thing that came out of this specific set was quite unique and also very broken and awesome is the partner commanders.
Disagree with the broken, except for
Except for
one pairing specifically. But very, very good cards.
yeah, so I think this might be the most interesting mechanic that WOTC's ever made in a commander set because it has so much modular,
Flexibility and interchangeable.
flexibility. Like, you can do so much with the partner mechanic.
Well, and what's so important about it is that they were able to really flex a hard, beneficial mechanic that only affects commander players. This doesn't affect any other format in the game. It's specifically about what can be your commander. So it doesn't really matter to anybody else in any other format. And so they
partner
could
specifically.
really put these partner commanders on a level of their own and make a crazy pairing like what we're seeing now. Which
Right.
is
The
like,
pairings, yes, but the individual cards, like there are some that are legitimately very, very good and that are played in other formats. Highlander sees play.
Yeah.
There was actually some play in Legacy that died down because it turns out, why would you spend 3 or 4 mana for a creature?
Get out of here.
But
Power creep.
yeah, right. The partner commanders is something that I was super stoked on initially. Kind of died down for me in hype just because it's just the same cards I'm using over and over again. And then the more I build decks, the more I'm just like, man, I really wish I had, that color or whatever. I wish I could use these mechanics together. And I was like, oh, I can, and I will.
I was going to say, the more you stop building specifically around a commander, the more you go, oh, these partner commanders are really cool because I can fit in the colors I need and not necessarily need my commander to be the most important, impactful card in the deck.
But also you can build around an idea and a theme and just oh, this works for this, and this one just helps me draw cards, so I can just throw these two together and it works.
Yeah, I think one thing that they did really well with these commanders is that they're all 2 colors and they stuck to the theme of whatever 2 colors those are. And so you can mishmash all these different themes of stuff that you want to do.
Kind of reminds me of some products that they made later, where you just shuffle some stuff together and it works. And
So the first ones we have is it is the best. So
It's
these
the
are
biggest.
in the Yidris deck. The first one is Thrasios Triton Hero. It's green and a blue for a 1/3 Merfolk Wizard. You can pay 4 and scry 1, then reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped. Otherwise, draw a card. And then all of these cards have this ability, partner. You can have 2 commanders if both have partner. So I think we've beaten this horse to death, but Simic does not need any more help.
No.
And
how about we
they
just give it some
printed one of the best commanders ever made.
In Simic.
mana sink
in a Simic.
that gives card advantage.
At 2 mana.
With an activated ability, it doesn't tap or anything. So if you have infinite mana, you can draw your
But
entire
let's
deck,
just
put
make
every
it
land onto your battlefield.
Colored mana,
And it's a
right?
2-drop.
Colored mana to make sure that
No,
okay.
just generic. Like, no, we'll make it 4 so it's better.
Oh yeah,
But I can just make infinite. Oh, shit. Yeah, you're right. I think as of right now, Thrasios Timna is tier 0.
Yeah.
Like, they are
Like
the
the
best deck you
best
made because
deck.
it's just Sushi Hill kind of shit right now.
Yeah.
So, but that's CDH stuff.
So the next one,
Woo! It's
is,
all downhill.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this
Also
still
good.
They're all fun. They're all good in their own ways, and they're all fun to build around. They all have unique things. But Thrasios is just, he can't be beat.
yeah.
Too good.
But often paired alongside Thrasios,
Another awesome one.
very, very, very good, is Vial Smasher the Fierce. 1, black, red. Legendary creature, Goblin Berserker. She's
Nice.
a 2/3, and whenever you cast your first spell each turn, Vial Smasher the Fierce deals damage equal to that spell's converted mana cost to an opponent chosen at random. I really, really like Vial Smasher just because it is just kind of incidental damage. You're going to not be casting spells, and if you are building, say, with, I don't know, something like Thrasios, where you're building into Simic colors, and you have all those ramp, or, I mean, even just in black, where you have some, like, swamp shenanigans,
Yeah. Mana
you
doublers.
have this insane amount of mana that you can throw around, and you start casting, I don't know, Eldrazi or something. You know, you're throwing around big sticks, and big sticks hurt when they hit people in the face.
Yeah, Vial Smasher is really dope because it's got that chaos element that you're just like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just going to play spells and people are going to take damage. Like, we're just going to be some crazy stuff. But what just happens is you play big spells and everybody dies.
I was going to say, it's got enough randomization to maybe take a little bit of blame off of you, but it's also got the power level to just start whipping shit around and killing people.
Yeah.
What I really wanted out of Vial Smasher, though, is just to a player at random, but it is an opponent, so it's even stronger.
That would be sweet.
Right? Can you imagine that? 9
It's like taking damage every time.
Like-
it's like, oh, shit.
9 CMC, all of a sudden you roll it up and just like, uh-oh.
See, that would be balanced.
But
But
it ain't.
she's a 3-drop, which is very powerful for these kind of effects. And I think another thing that people often overlook is your first spell each turn.
Yeah.
So you can play instants or flash things in and just do damage all cycle around.
Yeah, the last partner commander that we have in this deck is the Kaidel Chosen of Krufix, which we all know Krufix was quite good. 2 green, blue for a 2/3 legendary creature, Human Wizard. Tap and add 1 generic mana to your mana pool for each card you've drawn this turn. It also has partner.
So at worst, she's getting you 1 extra mana each turn. Granted, it's colorless, but in those colors, you're probably going to draw a lot.
Yeah, especially when you're obviously putting this in the deck with Thrasios, which means you're probably building a card draw shell no matter what. So the likelihood of you drawing cards is huge. The likelihood of you making lots of mana is huge. As
Yeah.
we said, Simic does not need any help.
Nope.
This is the reason, because there are so many cards that just exponentially grow. She's good. I mean, she's
and
just good.
Simic has a lot of untapped shenanigans and stuff like that,
Yeah.
so you can just keep tapping and untapping her. And
Yeah, adding 4
getting
generic mana is
infinite
good.
mana.
Adding 8 or 12 generic mana is even better.
yeah,
So, yeah.
I did find it interesting on these, or at least this one. I don't know if it works for the rest of them, but 2 mana, 3 mana, 4 mana partner commanders. I think those are the best spots for a commander cost to be in.
yeah,
So
I agree.
it-
I think as a format, we've all drifted more towards lower CMC
Yeah.
commanders, especially, just so we can actually get our decks moving the way we want them to go, which is why Thrasios is so powerful.
yeah. And next one on the list we've got Timna the Weaver.
The
Another
best.
fun one.
I feel like we've
My favorite
already
of all
talked
time.
about this. But Timna the Weaver, 1 white, black. Legendary creature, human cleric, 2/2 with lifelink. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, you pay X life, where X is the number of opponents that were dealt damage this turn. If you do, draw X cards. And partner.
Wicked good, y'all.
Yeah, so 3 mana, start swinging at people, and then pay life, draw cards. Like, you're never going to say no to pay 3 life, draw 3 cards.
Right.
Like, that is too good. And if you can do that every turn,
I mean, we get stoked for Phyrexian Arena. Pay 1 life, draw
I
1
was
card
going
every
to say,
turn.
pay 1, draw 1 is already an incredible rate, and to potentially bump it up to pay 3, draw 3 each turns.
Yeah. Like, the drawback is combat damage rather than just,
Yeah.
any damage.
yeah, so you need to do evasive creatures like flyers or just low to the ground things.
And you're paying life. It would be really helpful if you could, gain some life back.
Oh, shit, she's got lifelink. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Well-designed card.
Yeah, so I think a lot of these highlights that we're going to talk about, they're sort of self-engines, and they make the deck work. Doesn't matter what the other 99 cards are,
Yeah.
really.
They're
They
doing
work
a
on
thing
their
on
own.
their own.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is all part of the Saskia deck, right? The combat deck, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Next one we have is Tana the Bloodsower.
She's 2 red-green for a 2/2 legendary creature elf druid with trample. Whenever Tana the Bloodsower deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 green sapling creature tokens. She also has partner. Sort of weak compared to what we've talked about before, but still solid. I think the big thing about this, like you said, with the first deck, we went 2/3/4 CMC. This one's going 3/4. What's our third?
So
this is 5.
our next one is 5. And it's Ravos Soul Tender. So it's 3 white and a black for a 2/2 human cleric with flying. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So it's just
Seems
Orzhov
decent.
recursion.
And Anthem.
For free.
And an anthem.
There's no stipulation there.
Yeah. It's just value.
Yeah,
Yep.
super, super good.
And 5 mana for a 2/2 seems kind of bad,
And then you get regrowth every turn.
but
And
it's
in-
especially in a combat deck.
Yeah, I was going to say, in Orzhov, that seems a little weak. There's some cool stuff you can do in Orzhov, but being able to partner this with any other color combination that's going to have those really valuable ETBs could get sweet real
That's
quick.
valuable ETBs, man. It's everything. Like,
Yeah.
Ravos is strong. Like, there's a reason why it's 5 mana for a 2/2.
Yeah, and I think the tier list for the partner commanders, it goes Thrasios the first, Timna the next one, and then Ravos is actually third most powerful in the rankings. The rest of them are just kind of mixed up because they fluctuate a lot, but Ravos is
Ravos is
he's
always
up there.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, he's
consistent. Like,
he's always good.
guaranteed value is always going to be good.
Exactly, yeah, especially as a commander.
All right, next one we have is from the Stalwart Unity, which is the no black deck.
Worst deck, in my opinion. I don't even know what's going on, but no
It's a
black. I
good
mean,
deck.
come on, guys.
So this is the group hug deck. We've got Ludovic, Necro Alchemist, for 1 blue, red. Legendary creature, human wizard. At the beginning of each player's end step, that player may draw a card if a player other than you lost life this turn.
Interesting.
So you being the owner of Ludovic, we're talking about a player other than you. And so they ping themselves. They, take damage due to Phyrexian Arena. They get to draw an extra card. Like, it's a super weird kind of political card.
I was going to say, it's another one of those cards that encourages a little bit of combat, but never towards you because it's not going to give them the benefit they want.
Okay, for our next dude, we've got Sidar Kondo of Jamura.
Another one of them guys we've heard about.
Yep, he's a famous dude. So he's 2 a green and a white for a 2/5 legendary creature human knight with flanking. Who thought flanking would come back?
Why would you fucking reprint flanking?
So flanking is a weird ability. It's whenever a creature without flanking blocks this creature, the blocking creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. So he's just really, really good at blocking because nothing will ever have flanking. But the most important thing he has is creatures your opponents control without flying or reach can't block creatures with power 2 or less. He's
So
power
this
2 or
is,
less.
I was going to say, this is one of those weird, nearly symmetrical effects that really affects the builder of the deck because they
messes everything
build.
up.
Yeah, they build specifically to have, power 2 or less creatures. but most people are just not equipped to handle the no flying claws or the
Nope. Yeah, no flying or reach.
Yeah.
So it's like, I have no idea what to do in this situation. All of a sudden, everybody's creatures on the board at some point in the game become unblockable. Like, shit, I can't do it.
Yeah, that's the weird thing that I always forget about it.
Yeah, that's everyone forgets about it. It's like, oh, I've got my defenses built, I'm chilling, and then all of a sudden I can't block anymore, and I am panicking.
Yeah, you can't block anybody because it's symmetrical for
because-
everybody.
Yeah, that's what I meant
Yeah.
is that like everyone forgets that it is symmetrical, and so like you can get fucked by it too.
Oh,
yeah, you always look at the Sidar
it's
Kondo
only
player.
your opponents.
Right, that's what I'm saying is that like you can get fucked by other people attacking you.
Yeah, if you're just chilling, you're like, Sidar Kondo, he's not too bad. And there's like, oh shit, I know.
Yeah, it's like all of a sudden somebody has like a token strategy, and you know Sidar comes out, and you're just like, right.
Both of you guys are dangerous now.
Yeah.
Anthem effects become your enemy as
Yeah.
the token player.
The next one up we've got is Krom, Ludovic's Opus. 3, a blue and a red for 4/4 legendary creature zombie horror. This is the first time I'm seeing this artwork. Just 2-headed wild zombie. Flying and haste whenever an opponent casts his or her second spell each turn, draw a card. Also with partner. So you're punishing people for casting them spells. This one seems a little more situational and not quite as strong, but it could be cool.
Yeah, I do like the flavor because it's Ludovic and then
Ludovic's
Krom.
Opus.
Yeah.
Which the Opus is like the best creation. That
Yeah. And you can see him working on Krom in his artwork and then Krom just flying around messing stuff up. But Krom is very limited because it's only when they cast their second spell, so they need to be casting more than one thing.
But
And you only get to draw one card.
right, and it is opponents,
Yeah,
and it is each turn.
that's true.
But usually people can figure out a way around it.
I was going to say, it's just dependent upon other people's, and once they see it's out there, it is easier to play against. But again, it's kind of like some of the other cards we've talked about in previous episodes. Sometimes just forcing people to only play one spell per turn is pretty fucking good.
Yeah, it's the reverse werewolf, which I always find pretty amusing.
Yeah. I'm upset because sometimes he'll come out and then literally never do anything.
Oh yeah,
And that's never good.
I've put him in a deck and immediately was like, yes, there's this other partner commander that actually might do something, so I choose you.
Yeah. My favorite thing about Ludovic and Krom are that a lot of people make Rick and Morty decks where Ludovic
funny.
is Rick and Krom is Morty.
That's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, Rick.
All right,
Okay.
what's next?
Our next one, super dope. She's really great.
This is the next deck, correct?
one of my favorite ones. This one.
This one is the Traxa deck.
Yeah, this one is one that is in the works for me for a 4-color deck I've been working on. So this is Rayhan, last of the Opzon. 1 black, green. Legendary creature, human warrior for 0/0. Rayhan, last of the Opzon, enters the battlefield with 3 +1/+1 counters on him.
Nice.
Whenever a creature you control dies or is put into the command zone, if it had 1 or more +1/+1 counters on it, you may put that many +1/+1 counters on target creature with partner.
Sounds good. Sounds cool.
I would agree. Trade counters all around. Sacrifice creatures. Put them on other things. Wait until you get your big creature out. Boom. Play that. Play everything for free. You win.
Yeah, it's kind of like Abzan, or it feeds into Abzan, like aristocrat counter weird
Outlast
stuff.
and
Yeah,
stuff,
because you're moving things around so much that it's really hard to like evaluate what's the threat when Abzan or Rayhan is out, because she could just put 20 counters on one thing and then you're dead. And it's like, oh shit, well, I did
And it's hard
not
to see it
expect
coming
that.
sometimes.
Yeah,
Just like
exactly.
Like board wipe. Oh, wait, that thing has indestructible.
And there's stockpile in there, and then when something else has, I'm just gonna move things around.
Speaking of +1/+1 counters, the next one in this deck is also one that's on a partner commander build of mine that I'd like to purchase in the near future. That's Ishai, Ojutai Dragon Speaker. 2 white and a blue for a 1/1 legendary creature, Bird Monk. With flying?
Not Bird Wizard.
No, not a wizard. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Ishai, Ojutai Dragon Speaker. Also has partner.
Seems very familiar for some reason. Like a card that, people play in Commander to just... George?
The Mana Georger?
The Mana Georger.
Oh yeah, or the Forgotten Ancient.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of good things. One of the guys I play with at the shop has it's an Ishai and an Ikra Shadiki deck, which is the next partner we're going to get into. But it's just a Voltron Ishai deck. And so all he does is play Ishai and then just control until he can kill you and swing out.
That's cool.
So it's like a Voltron, 4-color Voltron Ishai deck. It's pretty gnarly.
See, this one's a lot better than Crom, in my opinion, in that it is stipulative on your opponent's
But it's guaranteed.
actions, but it's guaranteed. They're not going to not cast spells. You don't have to limit them to just one. Every time they cast a spell, you're getting +1/+1 counters.
Yeah.
And so this one's a little easier to tick up.
Yeah, it's a little slow to get going because it's a 4-mana 1/1, but once it gets going, it's a beast.
Yeah, people who know about Mana Gorger Hydra,
Oh yeah, because you can
they know how powerful that
you
kind
can
of
just
effect
suit it
is.
up, and you're just like, I literally can't do anything about it.
Yeah, just a giant tramply beast. It's like, it's not worth blocking because then I just lose creatures for no reason, and that's a lot of damage you take, and I can't not cast spells, so...
I guess I'll try and play the game and then lose.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and be as innocuous as possible so you don't attack me.
Yeah. Hey, look, he's very threatening over here.
Yeah.
What the fuck you do?
Yeah, so the other partner for that deck was Ikra Shadiki, the Usurper.
Usopp.
It's 3 a black and a green for a 3/7 legendary creature Naga Wizard with Menace.
Big ol' boots.
Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. And so this feeds really well into that Voltron strategy because you just have Ikra Shadiki out, swing with a 10/10 Ishai or something,
And basically, it's just life.
gain 10 life because you're never going to block. It's because you're always chilling. And so you just keep gaining life and all this stuff. Ikra Shadiki's okay. She's very situational.
Again, though,
She
on her own,
cares about big booties.
But
Yeah.
as a partner, you can really create some crazy, weird, unique synergies.
Man, if only she could be played in the big booty deck.
Yeah. I know, right?
It's like they strategically designed it so that she wouldn't work.
I mean, she can be played in Doran, but not in
true.
Arcades.
Oh, yeah, true.
So, like we said, there's a lot of crazy, weird things you can do with a lot of these commanders, and that is why I think this mechanic and these cards are some of the best cards Wizards ever printed for the Commander product.
All right, next up, we've got the Invent Superiority deck. We've got Akiri Line Slinger. It's our first Boros partner commander. Red and a white for a 0/3 legendary creature core soldier ally. First
Allies
strike.
are back.
Oh no. First strike and vigilance. Akiri Line Slinger gets +1/+0 for each artifact you control. And it has partner.
Very, very meh.
Very, very meh, but also, hey, I just generated 1,000 Thopters and now you're dead.
Yes. But in Boros?
But not. Boros, but not. Remember, partner.
That's the thing. That is the only reason why a lot of these cards are saved, because you can team them up with good colors.
Such as Silas Wren, Seeker Adept. One of my favorite cards of the partner cycle.
This is a banger.
1 blue, black, legendary artifact creature, human. Death Touch is a 2/2. And whenever Silas Wren, Seeker Adept, deals combat damage to a player, choose target artifact in your graveyard. You may cast that card this turn.
So this one we have Emery, which kind of does the same thing, but better. But before that, we had this guy. No one's ever going to block a 2/2 with Death Touch. They're like, I can take 2 damage. It's chill. And so you're
What can you really do?
almost always going to get the artifact cast, and it is a very powerful effect.
Yeah. I really love Emery. And I didn't really associate Emery with Silas Wren. And Silas Wren is one of my favorite ones of these, and now I see why.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Emery easily goes into this deck because it's just artifact recursion and just stuff like that, which you're probably already going to do no matter what kind of artifact theme you're going to play. And he's a very, very powerful card to do it with.
Yeah, there's so many just dumb things you can do with him.
The only balancing is that he doesn't cheat into play. You still have to cast it, but at the same time,
Still
it's
good.
artifacts, so you can make a lot of mana.
Yep.
Yeah. Good stuff. The last one we have is Bruce Tarl, Boorish Herder.
Big old Bruce.
Big old Bruce. So he's 2, a red and a white for a 3/3 legendary creature human ally. Another one. Only Boros, yeah. Whenever Bruce, Tarl, Boorish, Herder enters the battlefield or attacks, target creature you control gains double strike and lifelink until end of turn. That's pretty powerful.
Dope.
But it's only when he comes in
Or attacks.
And you only give it to one thing.
So you get to swing with him often.
Yeah,
Your
and
command.
so you either have to suit him up and make it so he doesn't die so you can keep getting these triggers,
Or
swing at the person who's not going to kill him. He's really good with Exalted mechanic because he really only cares about one thing attacking and he just makes the thing really good.
But that thing has to be himself if it's exalted, right?
No, he gives it target creature you control
But that's when he attacks.
or enters the battlefield.
Right. Yeah,
So,
if you flicker and then
you have
exalted.
to.
There's a lot of hoops you got to
a lot of steps you got to go through, and that's why these Boros commanders, spoilers alert, are not the best. But like we said with partner, you can link them up with other things and make them a lot better.
Yeah.
Now, as we said at the start of this episode, we are going to break this episode up. But before we finish on this episode, we want to touch on one of the most important parts of the decks.
These beers that we haven't reviewed yet.
Damn beers. We're going to touch on the land bases. And the reason we got to talk about the mana base is because these are 4-color decks, and it is fucking hard to pull off 4-color decks, especially when we're talking precons, which
Yeah, it's hard to pull it off on
already
your
have
own.
bad mana bases. Yeah, so these decks actually did pretty well. But before that, do we want to get a final review on these beers and crown the champion? Although it's kind of unfair because one of the 3 of these beers is not a beer.
They immediately
delicious.
disqualified.
Aw.
All right, so I've got the Mother Earth Brewing Company's Barrel Aged 4 Seasons. This is the Winter 2019. This is the Imperial Mint Chocolate Milk Stout. I've already told you what it tastes like. I don't feel like I really need to go further into it. You're gonna smell it. You're gonna be like, that's nice. It's a little minty. It's kind of like almost kind of funky. Then you taste it and you know exactly what it is.
So right off the bat, it just smells like an Andy Mint. And then the taste, it's literally just mint and chocolate. You get a lot of that malty sweetness on the back end. And it's so smooth. God damn, that is delicious.
Yeah, I'm really glad they went with the milk stout approach rather than something a little bit
Yeah.
heavier and kind of harsher.
Yeah, you can't, it's like, what, 10%? You can't taste any of the alcohol.
10.8.
Yeah.
You kind of can after you've been drinking it for a while because it does kind of sit there.
Yeah, I do get, maybe because I'm also drinking a darker
Yeah,
beer
you guys have
that's
heavy boys.
heavy, yeah. I do get a little bit of that alcohol, but honestly, it's kind of weird how it like blends with the cool mint.
Yeah.
Like it's all one mouthfeel, you know what I mean? Like it's all that cooling kind of wash.
Yeah, it's kind of like the burn that you get from like peppermint or something like that. Like it exists as a
damn,
flavor.
It's like
within
the mint is masking it. And
Yeah.
it is in the best way. That literally tastes like melted Andy's mints in a fucking stout. And
Yeah.
that is so good.
It is insane.
Damn.
It's
Describing it
so
immediately
smooth.
as Andy's Mint was like dead on. It's not as good as like an After 8, but the Andy's Mint is good.
That's quite good, yeah.
Quite enjoyable. Next one, we're going to go with the other beer on this episode.
Weak.
I'm rocking that Icicle Brewing Company Dark Persuasion. It's a German chocolate cake ale.
I've had this one. I know what it tastes like, but I'll give it another go.
It's good. Obviously, going from the mint, you're getting very similar notes in the chocolate
Chocolatey.
and
Oh, the
stout.
coconut and the...
But the mint
It's
is
not like really a stout. That tastes more like a porter. It's a bit lighter, a bit more earthy. Like it has the chocolate, coconut, and honestly, that like the cake, like that kind of yeasty, bready kind of wheat.
yeah, but
kind of
also
flavors.
sweet.
Yeah,
I think going from your beer to mine, it tastes slightly more like a porter, but to me, tasting it for the first time, it still tasted more like a stout than a porter, just because it's very sweet.
I'll accept your wrong opinion.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, just the aroma, it's very coconut heavy.
Yeah,
Ooh, that's smooth.
yeah.
Yeah, you get just coconut taste at the beginning, and then it just fades in those chocolate malty notes. Ooh, that's good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, you thought you had a good drink.
Yeah, dude, this is actually delicious.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah,
this,
there's a
this
reason-
is a dessert beer.
Yeah,
like, through
there's a
and through.
reason
I mean,
why
it's
my
a
roommates
chocolate
went
cake
back for
beer.
it, and every single one of them just, hey, can I have another taste of that? So yeah, absolutely. This thing's fucking delicious.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I can't really get any harsh alcohol notes off of that.
No.
No, definitely not. Nah.
It's only 6.5, so it's not super alcoholic, but even still, like, I don't get any.
Yeah, it's just incredibly smooth, malty sweetness.
Yeah.
And last but not least, disqualified from beer of the show, but maybe drink of the show.
It's the Simplicity Cocktails Premium Gin and Tonic Citrus and Cucumber.
Out of good old Rigby, Idaho.
Any of you Idahomies out there,
Yeah.
you know what we're talking about when we
Holy
say
shit,
Rigby.
dude. You smell that, and that is like a cucumber punch to the face.
It's like a cucumber gin and tonic. There's very little citrus, which bums me out because I think it does need a lime to go with it.
I feel you on that one.
But
It's
And this one you said was 6%?
it's 6%, so it's not as gin forward as you would think,
Yeah.
but that's just how they had to make it. And it's not as fresh as you'd think if you just make a gin and tonic,
yeah.
but it's still a really solid gin and tonic, especially ice cold with some.
Yeah, I mean, the smell, I feel like I'm in a freaking Greek restaurant. I mean, it's just very cucumber heavy.
It tastes like they
Fresh.
use like the whole cucumber though, not just like the inner sweet parts. Like there's a little bit of bitterness to it.
Yeah, it's kind of sort of got that wateriness from the cucumber too.
It's got the rind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That almost like a tingly kind of bitter thing.
But it's not like
Man, I wonder if that's the rind kind of mixing in with just that subtle hint of juniper that you get from the gin. I'm going to be 100% with you. That is not my drink.
You don't like gin and tonics?
I've never liked gin is the problem. And so I was hoping that you were saying like, oh, it's not very much gin. I don't know if it's just the gin or if it's the gin plus rind, but it's that weird, it's not a roasty bitter. It's just bitter for the sake of fucking plant bitter.
Yeah,
it's a
I guess
bitterness.
Yeah.
I can't taste that anymore, or maybe I've just grown accustomed to it because I love gin.
Yeah, gin.
Right.
So this isn't ginny enough, or like
agree.
botanically, or like juniper-y enough for how I like it. But it's still just a solid gin and
For
tonic in a can.
canned cocktail.
Yeah, like
I was going to say all the other notes were
Expectations
delicious
are not very high,
to me. Yeah.
but it's solid.
Yeah, I'll give it 2 thumbs up.
Yeah. I think that the minty beer was very unique in that I've never had a minty beer before.
But I feel like there's a but.
There's an and.
Oh.
And the German chocolate beer, it was delicious, and the coconut and chocolate notes are exactly what you'd expect. But I think the mint beer did a lot more for what it was going for, and it was a lot more complex, because I'm not trying to downplay coconut stouts or dark beers, chocolatey beers. Like, those are all delicious, but those are kind of the go-tos for stouts and porters and beers like those.
Yeah.
With heavy malt characteristics. And maybe it's just me, but because I haven't had a mint beer before, so it was intriguing.
This is the best mint beer I've had.
But I've never had a beer like that. And it was just like, it wasn't like minty in a bad way or like an overpowering way. It worked all throughout the beer, and it blended seamlessly with every single note in the beer.
Even like the alcohol, which is like a bad flavor usually.
Yeah.
Like it made the alcohol part of the beer.
Yeah, like
Good.
I didn't even get any of the alcohol notes because it was just so seamless, and it was so refreshing and crisp.
So you're going to go with the gin and tonic.
So I had all those minty, just malty notes. And yeah, I'm going to give it to the gin and tonic, man. I fucking love gin. But yeah, that Mother Earth, they nailed it. Like, I've never had a beer like that.
Yeah, the second time I went to it, I thought, okay, it was way sweeter than my beer, so maybe that's why I'm attracted to it. Let me pick this apart and try and taste all the things besides the mint. And when you really do that, there's actually a pretty unique malt body to it. Like it's not just minty. It actually has a really good sweet flavor to the stout portion of the beer. Hands down. Mother Earth, Four Seasons. That one is incredible. And I thought it was because it was just really sweet, which I like sweet shit, but it's not. it's actually just really good and complex, and the malt is perfectly balanced.
Yeah, I really want to try this Imperial Milk Stout without the mint and see what it would be like, because the mint just elevates it, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had a different one of the Four Seasons Sun, and we will very soon have another of the Four Seasons Sun.
Can't wait.
But Mother Earth, like they do good shit. Like honestly, they do.
I'm going to go ahead and say that you're probably voting for Mother Earth as well.
The best part about the Mother Earth is actually, like, it's not the mint. It's not even the fact that it's a milk stout. It's the fact that they've blended a barley wine into it that has added a depth of flavor that I didn't know was going to be there. And it wasn't until, like, I actually read that and, like, I started to look for those flavors.
I was going to say, I forgot that it was there.
Yeah. And those are the
When
flavors.
I was searching for anything other than mint, I think that's what I found. It's like, wow, this is an interesting stout.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with this beer beyond the depth that I mean, obviously, first introducing it, I just said it was an Andy's Mint and I passed it on, right?
Right.
And that's not wrong, but it is a lot more than that.
It's that on the very first drink, and then you keep drinking it and you're like, oh man, there's just layers and layers, and it just keeps growing and growing. You're like, damn, this has some funk, this has some crazy sweetness, has all of these crazy layers to it.
My vote goes to the German chocolate cake.
It was
is
good.
I loved it.
Delicious, and every single time I taste that, I want so much more of it. The barrel-aged Four Seasons is delicious, but it is one that if I never have again, I will be okay with. Like, it's something that I've had, and I appreciate it now, but it's not something that I will want to go back to. The Icicle Brewing Company's German Chocolate Cake Ale is one that I will want to go back to time and time again, because it is so, like, it is exactly what it says it is. And that's not to say that the Imperial Mint Chocolate Milk Stout is not what it says it is. It is what it says and more. But for some reason, the German chocolate cake, whether it's the chocolate notes coming out more, the coconut, or whatever it is, it reminds me of home. And that's something that, for one reason or another, it has that kind of like nostalgia.
It's
Anything
really
that
hard
can
to beat
bring your
German
entire
chocolate cake.
Yeah, anything that can bring your entire psyche to a completely different place in time. That's what you want, man.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Magic does that for me, y'all.
Oh snap!
And that it sounds like a
Segway
joke.
man, get out of here.
I was gonna say it sounds like a joke, but it actually does. Like sometimes when you're playing Magic, you're just like, "Damn, am I 12 again? What the fuck is happening right now?"
I'm comboing off like a fucking degenerate. Wait.
But really, we do need to get back to these the land base, the freaking mana base, which I think anybody that had been playing these decks before, the pre-constructed decks, probably saw 4-colored decks from WOTC and went, "Oh Jesus Christ,
no, this is
what is
gonna-
happening?" But they did quite.
Yeah. I think the first thing to look at isn't necessarily the lands themselves, but the land distribution. When you look at on deck stats or any site that is going to distribute the cards based on the colors and the lands, it's supported really, really well. It's not like it's 25% across the board. If there's like a heavier land color, that color is reflected in the cards themselves, right? Unless the deck has green and a heavy emphasis on the green and the support that the green provides. One of the things I wanted to note was that the as far as 4-color support goes, when it comes to the basic lands, there's enough to matter. And what I mean by that is that there are cards that have like fetch effects, like Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse, etc., that care about basics specifically. And there's also ramp spells that care about basics specifically. And you need to have a density of basics that allows you to go get those, to find those easily. But also you want enough of them because a lot of the other multicolored lands in the decks are tap lands. So
Right.
you need to have the density of basics to make up for that fact.
Nothing
right? But
worse than spending 3 or 4 mana to go find a basic and not being able to find a basic. Fuck.
Yeah,
like splitting your land base across, like dual land and stuff is great. But if you can't actually fetch off of a Evolving Wilds, it's just like, oh, rip.
and added bonus is that they had lands from Rebecca Gay, and they were all
True.
sick as hell.
Yeah, they're dope. The next part was looking at multicolored lands. What I loved about this is maybe it's because I have this like fondness for Cons Block, which everyone who's drafted Cons Block has a fondness for.
It
Cons.
is the shit.
It's super dope. But they have the tri-lands. They have 4 per deck, whether from the Alara Shards, the Cons Wedges, and it's all of the ones that would work in that deck, right? The non-white has all of the shards and wedges that would work there. And I think that that's something that it feels honestly kind of underplayed.
Yeah, I think they're underrated because they come in tapped, but having access to 3 different colors, I think it's very overlooked.
Yeah, it's dope. And the fact that you have, these tri-lands really kind of like speaks a little bit to whoever was making the decks, that they didn't just throw in like extra like tap dual lands or anything like that. They're like, no, we are going to have these specific lands because it's going to give you access to the most colors that you can. And this kind of like adds credence to the idea that I always have around these decks, which is that you will be able to play basically whatever spells you have or that you've drawn in a game. You may not be able to cast your commander on turn 4, right? But you will be able to play basically every spell that you have. Right. And that's something that for a 4-colored deck with the variety that they have in them is super, super difficult to do. Like even building a deck from scratch, having the consistency in your land base is fucking hard.
Yeah, even when you just have a little bit of focus, it's still hard. And like with these precons where you don't have as much focus and they can still manage it, that's how you know you have a really good mana base.
They also have on here the Ravnica bounce lands, which was pretty dope. The reason why I like these cards is because they are mana dense for them, right? Like, yeah, they are bounce lands. You do have to replay the land that you bounce. It's a lot of work that goes into them, and they are tap lands on top of all of that. But they produce 2 colors every single time, which really helps put forward your game plan. If you don't need the extra color, it's a colorless, it's fine, whatever. But it helps cast your commander because it's producing the colors that you need. It helps cast multicolored spells, which a lot of these decks have a high density of. And so things like that really start to add up pretty quickly. And I think that, again, it's something that's pretty underrated because you look at it as a tap land that also brings back another land that you have to replay later. And like there's a lot that goes on with that.
Yeah, the next one we've got are pain lands, which are really good. These are, in essence, in a commander game, virtually free for the first half of the game. You get these out. You do have to pay a life for the colored mana, which you don't always need. But when you need it, you pretty much have unfettered access to it. There's no reason not to play these.
Yeah, it doesn't come in tapped. Like it always taps or at least something, and you have 40 life, you got life to spare. You can always get a color out if you need to.
Yeah, they're dope. And that kind of like ties into the next category.
Yeah, so the next ones we have are the filter lands, which they're lands where you pay 1 and you tap them, and then they net 2 of a different color.
Yeah, so sometimes they're fixing. Yeah, sometimes the filter lands, it's like pay blue. You can get blue, 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 black, or black, black. Some of them are just pay a colorless, get like green and white. And so there's different kinds of filter lands.
Yeah, I think there's different tiers because the actual filter lands are really, really good because they're hybrid mana, right? Hybrid mana, and then you can get like green, 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 white, or white, white.
Yeah.
I think that's what
you pay a green or a white and you get.
Yeah. And then these ones, I think it's pay a colorless, tap this land, and then you get these 2 colors.
Yep.
So they're more budget and accessible versions of these awesome filter lands.
Yeah. And then there's also just like the generic tap lands that are just like the life lands, I think also from cons. In the ETB, you gain a life.
Oh, yeah.
Not like
they're
super
the pseudo guild gate.
Yeah, exactly.
Things.
It's like the better guild gates.
Yeah.
Like they don't really matter as far as like that 1 life that you gain is not significant. Unless you have maybe like a pain land or something that, you're using that life for something else.
Yeah.
So that adds up kind of quickly. And then there is
everybody's favorite lands.
Yeah, the any color lands.
Yeah.
I have Exotic Orchard on the list. Taps for any color your opponents could produce. Hey, guess what? If you're playing this in a vacuum with the other decks, that means you can tap for any color.
Yeah, I think this is a commander staple.
Oh yeah,
a lot of people don't realize it because most of the time when you sit down in a pod, you're gonna have access to a lot of colors, at the very least color that you need.
Yep. Then there's Opal Palace, which
also good.
Super, super good, especially if you're playing in a deck that likes counters. And I like counters personally.
Man.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And then there's Grand Coliseum, which is a card that like I don't think a lot of people are super familiar with, but it's a card that I've been trying to put in decks more. It is essentially the best and worst pain land because it comes in tapped, but it can produce any color for the cost of 1 land. So it's City of Brass, but not. And then on top of all this, they still provided utility lands in each of the decks. The first one was Ash Barrens, which is, I think, the first time that it was printed. But it's just a colorless land that also has just basic land cycling, which is dope. Like, hey, I don't want this colorless land. Let me cycle it away.
Yeah, it was the first time, and then they reprinted them in Commander 2019, and then
I think so, yeah.
just they reprinted them in a master set, which shows you how good they are. But they're just those are also another underrated Commander staple
for sure. And then we had each deck had like a specific one that I noted that played into the deck strategy. Yidris had Reliquary Tower, no max hand size,
quite good.
Yeah,
also a staple.
We had Hideaway Lands. They were in Saskia. Deck that cares about like combat, attacking, dealing damage, all of those things. It was the 3 different Hideaway Lands, the red, white, and green, which I thought was really interesting because those are the ones that care about high power creatures, dealing damage. It's like 7 more damage for the red one. And then if you attack with 3 more creatures in the white one, you get the Hideaway effect, which is dope.
Super easy to get.
Homeward Path from Kaneo's Interior deck. Oh, yeah.
Homeward Path, it's a you never think you need it until you need it, and then it's the best land you have.
Yep. That's a good summary. Dreadship Reef, which I think, again, is a pretty underrated card, but the fact that they put it into the Proliferate deck, it cares about storage counters, so you stack up these storage counters, and then you bust the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of these old cards that don't work as well get way better when you can proliferate them every turn.
Yeah. And then there's Buried Ruin in Brea, which cares about artifacts pulling back from your graveyard. If you're sacrificing artifacts, Brea, maybe having a land that can bring them back, pretty decent.
Yeah, every turn.
So obviously we can see the
We did it.
breadth of lands, and that's important. Having just enough land and enough color land and enough utility land to be able to pull off a 4-color deck is
Well, it's
hard.
the fact that they put utility lands in a 4-color deck, and it works because the utility lands work with the themes of the deck. And the decks have like anywhere from, I think, 36 to 40 lands, which is like 36 lands in a 4-color deck is, in my opinion, like kind of bold. Like, that's not that many lands for a deck that needs a wide variety of lands.
And the fact that they pulled them off so well is a tribute not only to WOTC, especially to WOTC, but also just to the state of the game at that time. True. And I think it's only kind of gone downhill since then. Obviously, there are good decks that they've brewed, but these ones really show the fact that the people at WOTC know what they're doing. And when they put their minds to we're going to make a successful deck, not a successful product, they can absolutely deliver.
Yeah, so I just looked it up, and Ethan Fleischer and Ben Hayes were the lead designers on these sets. And they actually Ethan did the 2015 set, and Ben did the 2017 set. So they were just this sort of chunk of decks. I think they just nailed it so hard with this set. I think they learned from the 2015 sets in their just deck building and play testing and balancing and stuff to make these decks.
And then they threw it all in the trash.
And then it might have gone downhill a little bit, but I think 2017 was okay because they did a lot of multicolored decks, which were built well. It's just the themes.
Eminence didn't hurt them either.
Yeah, they were different, but I think these guys also worked on a lot of our favorite sets too. Like they did Amonkhet and Dominaria and the Modern Horizons, like a lot of awesome sets. So I think we should give a shout out to these guys, but I think it's hard not to say that these were the best that WOTC ever did, and this is the standard.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I will tell you right now, this is the best that WOTC's done.
Yeah, like
2016 is the golden.
So far, we're all praying for a Cory, baby.
I think it's gonna be so hard to top these just because
they did 4-color well.
They nailed 4 colors. They nailed the commanders and exactly what they wanted to do. They had interesting mechanics. They had new mechanics that people cared about. They had not only the partner as a mechanic, but they basically gave us over 100 different combinations of commanders and decks to mess around with the partner mechanic.
And
like,
we haven't even talked about the cards in the deck.
yeah, it's insane. Like we've talked about maybe
This is why we're splitting
maybe
up this episode.
15 cards in each deck, like max, just lands, partners, and the commanders.
Which is why I think this is a good spot to stop here. Obviously, we don't condone drinking or driving or drinking underage. Gotta say that. We don't want anybody being stupid out there.
No.
But if you are enjoying a brew with us on these episodes, please let us know on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter,
Yeah, what you drinking?
or YouTube. Yeah, what you drinking, bro?
Let me know if you
Send
like
me
gin.
them snaps. Yeah, let's
I
see
want,
the
I want,
Jim
I want
and
all
Todd
those
fans.
fellow gin drinkers out there.
Corey, I like gin.
That's one.
There you go.
Garion's
One
a
thumbs up.
thumbs down, but
Yeah.
I got one thumbs up.
But we will see you guys next week for the closing of this Commander 2016 product. There obviously is a lot to talk about. We'll get really in depth with these cards. And until then, as we like to say on this podcast,
Have fun.
Get yourself some dessert beer.
Oh, buddy. And I'm Cory Janibagian.